And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans, and 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast. And we are being live streamed wherever podcasts live, my YouTube channel, etc. So we're not hard to find. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave pair of peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother and abbot for the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member with Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And yes, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, which is currently streaming everywhere, if you haven't caught that. But most importantly, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things. Both my books are there. You can get my books a little less expensive at Amazon, and they also come in an audio version, which is awesome. But if you buy them off the website, I autograph them. They leave my office here. They arrive to you in a beautiful house blessing kit, and you never know when one of those are going to come in handy. And another wonderful thing about buying them off of the website is part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books off of the website go to support stjude.org and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. There's a place where you can make an appointment on the website to speak with me about your spiritual issues, and my online course is there. It's a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, taught by yours truly. And it's for all you true warriors for Christ out there. 12-week online course. All my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. So that's my song and dance, and I'm sticking to it. We have a great guest today. I love him. I respect him. He's a super cool dude. But you all already knew that. That's why you tuned in. He's in the green room. He's going to be out here in just a moment. But another really cool thing about my Friday shows, I have an awesome, awesome co host. I also love her and respect her. I've known her forever. And she is a lifelong paranormal experiencer. She's the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich.
Hi, Father Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. This is a show I've been waiting for a while because I just really wanted to have a Mothman show, and I did not know anybody, but you did.
Well, when you asked me about that weeks ago, did I know anybody? He was the only guy. His face and him just popped up, and so I reached out to him right away, and he was so gracious to accept my invitation to come on. So hopefully he has fun today, and he'll want to come back because he's been on the show before. He's a fan favorite. He always brings his A game, and he's one of those guys you can talk to about anything under the paranormal umbrella. In my humble opinion, I consider him a true paranormal authority. So I always love having him on. And like I said, hopefully he has fun and he'll come back. So
I
just
was hoping that too because I saw that when I was making the promo, um, all of this stuff in his bio, and I realized he could talk on many topics and he'd be fascinating. I also we have a new dog today.
really,
Yes, and she's part spaniel and part Pyrenees, and we have two Pyrenees boys, and so we took her to the vet first and got her fixed and got her shots and everything. But her name, she already had a name. Her name's Ruth, and it's short for Ruthless. So that's kind of funny, not funny,
very
right?
cool. Very, very cool. Well, listen, are you ready to bring our guest on?
I'm very ready.
Everybody that's tuned in already knows him and loves him, and I've gotten a lot of people that follow him reached out to me this week when I started promoting that he was going to be on the show, anxious to watch today's show. Um, He's a radio, TV, and film personality. Like I said, Paranormal Authority. Um, Super cool dude. Been on the show before, and hopefully I can get him to come back on many, many more times. Brothers and sisters, please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to Bryan. He'll say his middle initial stands for McLovin, but today I'm going to call Bryan Mothman Bowden.
Bryan, welcome.
It's great to be back here. You always can get me here, Shawn. It's always a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be part of your show, and even to be asked. It's an honor. When you have a show, you know, the hard part is getting guests sometimes, but some people think like, well, it's about time you called me. No, no, no. It is an honor. No one has to call you. No one has to have you on, and I'm always honored, no matter how big or small a show is. Yours is a big show, by the way. And I appreciate you, not only what you do and what your missus does, but also just as a friend. So it's great to be here, and it's great to meet you, Annette. Yeah, I could talk about a bunch of different things, but the one thing I don't do is what he does. Shawn does. I don't play with demons or demonic stuff, and if I do have anything like that, I immediately am going to go contact Shawn and say, here, I got somebody for you, because that's above my pay grade. Even though I'm actually, an ordained minister. I was born into one religion, but it's a Judeo-Christian type of thing, but I don't play around with that. That is not at my skill level, and I also have other, I have children, so I don't need to bring something really bad home at this point. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to see everybody in the chat, and I'm ready to just keep talking and talking. So
Do you mind if I love that. I love the background.
Oh yeah, it's a ghost. I can change my background at will, actually. So I have the ability to change it at and I figured I would go with a little bit more of a ghosty theme for the show today. So, and it has my on the bottom, it has my thing, Third Eye Live. I don't know why it's backwards at this point, but we'll figure it out. I think it's because when I go through the system, they have things reversed, but it doesn't matter. So
we'll I want to clear something up real quickly here before we start. I know my producer, Michelle DeRoche, is going to feel so bad about this, but when she created the live stream show,
she missed a W.
She misspelled your last name.
Right.
And I just want everybody already knows this, but it's Bowden, Bowden.
That is correct. Harrigan, that's me. Yeah.
We'll get that fixed, brother. I'm so sorry.
It's no problem, because everybody spells Bryan wrong with an I instead of a Y, and I always say why because I like you. That's why you spell it. So that's what I was telling Shawn in the green room. A lot of times when they give a name, I just use Bigfoot. So half the people in Florida now know me as Bigfoot. The other half knows me as McLovin, because that was a mistake. So but throughout my life, I answered. People have always called me different names, and I don't want to embarrass them, or I don't want to keep saying, no, it's Bryan. So like when someone calls me Steve while we're playing golf, I'm like, hey, no problem. And I walk away.
Yeah,
so
I'm like that too. I'm like that too.
Whatever.
Because they seem to feel so genuinely embarrassed when you point it out to them. And so I just kind of blow it off. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And there's only one individual that needs to, there's a couple, but truly know your name, and that is God. And I'm not trying to get religious on you. God knows who I am. Oh boy, does he know who I am. I mean, we've had plenty of our conversations, and I've yelled and screamed and cursed. And I'm sure if you can do a video, one of the scribes of God would come over and go, your eminence, he's cursing you again. And he'd be like, I got him. Don't worry about it. But I stopped doing that. I learned. I had a really great religious experience moment, which changed everything a bunch of years ago, in a really weird way, because I was mad. My brakes went when I parked this in a car in a parking spot, and I went down this big hill in New York City really fast, and got to this appointment. My brakes go, and we're in a parking lot, and I said, I'll deal with it when we get out. we started a printing company. So we do screen printing, branding, hats, swag. And we got the deal. And now I had to go deal with my car and figuring out how to go from Manhattan to get my car back up into Westchester. And I'm yelling and I'm, kind of cursing them. How can you do it? I don't have the money for this, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized I looked at the car. It's in a spot on level ground. And I said, please forgive me. I got it. He did not allow it to happen when I was traveling down a 45-degree grade at 50 miles an hour. It happened when I was level. And I said, thank you, Lord. Please forgive me. I understand. And from that point forward, and I recommend this for everybody, it's not a religious thing. If you're late, be late. If you're late getting to work, stop and get breakfast. You're already late. Yeah. Coming in 5, 10, 15, or half an hour later, you're still late. So why are you rushing to kill yourself? That's how accidents happen and bad things, and it makes your day worse. Say, you know what? I'm late. I'm going to go grab something to eat and then go get something to eat, vice versa.
Some people may say to that, that's great advice. Some people may say, if you're late, there may be a reason beyond your control as to why you're late, and just go with it. Maybe you're not supposed to go through this particular intersection at this moment.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's sorry, I'm to have a little lozenger. It's the same thing where you leave the house and I forgot whatever. That is your guardian angels telling you don't go out at this point. They're stopping something really bad from happening to you. So go back up, get whatever the thing is you wanted, and wait 5 more minutes. And then take your time. It's not worth going to. The only place you can't be late is when you're getting married.
Well, you could be.
Yeah.
You could be.
You probably could.
Philosophy 100%. And I always told my kids that when they were learning to drive. Once you're late, you're late. And you know what? Speeding doesn't make up that much time anyway. The best thing you could do is pray to hit all of the lights correctly. If all the lights are in your favor, you could actually make up some time. But other than that.
Right. So just own it. There's reasons behind it you may not understand. Some people just don't believe. Some people don't believe in the paranormal, and they don't believe, how can you believe in this mysterious bipedal cryptid with 10-foot wings in West Virginia? How can you believe in that? And then you go to them. I said, you're a religious person. They're like, yeah. So you believe in God? Yeah. Have you seen God? Right. He's invisible. You're hearing hearsay from people and you're believing with devotion. So these are people that actually saw the creature.
Right.
So I'm not questioning. I'm just saying, before you go, you're crazy. Just remember, we all believe in a spirit. That was a witness here, of course, but, his son was here. But same principle. So I don't, my family thinks I'm crazy anyhow. So.
Well, there's a lot of people, they just don't believe in things because I think it turns over their little apple cart of a universe.
Oh, it definitely does.
With that. So, even if I've had this experience with people that I was there and they were there and they experienced something right next to me. And a few years later, if you bring it up, they have completely tucked themselves out of it somehow. It's kind of amazing.
So the lady I married, when we were dating, we were traveling from one part of Connecticut to where my old part of Connecticut was. And we had a massive UFO go over the car. And she's literally standing on the seat out the sunroof. I'm going 70 miles an hour. I go, what is that? And then to this day, she says, oh, it was just like a kite. And I'm like, okay, believe whatever you want. But I've seen some stuff that you sit there and you're like, this can't be. This shouldn't be. Right. Or whatever you're told. But remember, I have a show every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, called Third Eye Live. And something I added to the opener is the Archangel Michael prayer. Because I want to start off every episode. It's not the religious. I want everybody to be protected. When you go out in this world today, there's a lot of there's good and there's evil, and there's a lot more evil. You should always protect yourself, with God's white golden light around you. Even when as an investigator, we do this all the time. We sage all the time. I do have fun with everything. When my buddy, he anoints my head with, holy oil, I go, oh my God, it burns, just to bother him. And he's like, can you stop now? And I'm like, no, I can't. If I'm serious about something, we're going to be in trouble. Okay. It's really, really serious. So if I'm making jokes, some people deal with things that way, but that's who I am. And I got a lot of love for people, and this is what we do. But yeah,
well, I'm so happy you came back with the show. Tell everybody exactly where and when they can watch your new podcast.
So it's every Wednesday night on YouTube. And if you go underneath my name on this screen, at Bryan Boden, subscribe to that, because I'm done with doing 15 different YouTube channels. Everything's going to be on there. It's Third Eye Live. It's how your third eye, your pineal, your third eye, your intuition, inspiration, divine intervention, dreams have given you the gifts and abilities you have and propelled you to where you are. It's not necessarily paranormal as much. I want to, artists kind of channel sometimes their talents onto different mediums. And I want to talk with musicians and artists. Yes, we'll have people that do tarot, and we'll have paranormal people, of course. But in every episode, I want you to leave having a good time, more informed, but also on the positive note. So that's my goal, is to be positive. I was interviewing 3 separate tarot people that are actually the real deal. I do test people on their abilities, because there are a lot of shysters out there, con artists. And I won't point them out, but if I find someone, that's really good, I ask them on my show, and I try to talk to them. Sometimes I'll get a reading so I can actually talk to them one-on-one. But in 3 of them, they said, you're protected by Archangel Michael, which I've heard that numerous times before. And they said, Bryan, you fill others' cups, but not your own. So you need to pull back from that. So I have pulled back a bit, but I'm one of the few people you'll meet that I am very happy when good things happen to people. I don't want anything from you. Just be a good human being, pass it on, and your good karma will travel tenfold. And that's how, this is why, like, when I investigate these things like Bigfoot and Dogman and other cryptids, Jersey Devil, including Mothman, and you have an encounter with these things, one of the things God gave you when he created man in his image is he gave you the ability to talk to God through your pineal gland. And this is how we do it during the day and at night. And we're made from electricity. We have a current flowing through us. So when you come up against some of these cryptids, or in your case, Shawn, and when you come up against something that is on the other side, and you're exercising, you have your aura that's your signal and sign. And if you come in with a positiveness, these creatures or beings can see it, and they know who they're dealing with. They know who's the bad ASS, and they know who's like, oh, this person's good, but don't mess with them, but they're good. And they know who's got kinks in the armor that they can jump into or possess. So if you carry yourself in a proper manner and you're a good person, believe it or not, it shows. You may not see it because we live on the human scale here, but there are other beings that do see it. So
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Man. And I think, I know you wanted to talk about Mothman, in the 60s at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the sightings, and I'm fine with that. We can go into that at any point. But I a lot of people, I think the festival's coming up, if I'm correct.
Isn't that? I think it might be Could it be as late as September in the year? Or?
I don't know. I think it's around the summertime, but I've yet to go. Believe it or not.
September
There we go.
20th and the 21st.
And the September 19th and the 20th, I'll be at the Crossing Realms Conference giving a presentation on probably cryptids. And it's in Richmond, Missouri. So I'll be missing it this year, but I know a couple of people that do the Mothman Festival. I'm trying to connect with that because I'd love to go and do it. But my take on the moth, oh, it sounds like a blast. But my take on the Mothman is a bit different from my research on the actual being, and it's actually very interesting. There's a lot of exponential beings that are from the same realms. We'll call it. So
Well, I
don't know where you
Annette,
want to go.
well, I know Annette was excited to meet you and talk to you about this. You two are meeting for the first time today, so I'm gonna let you two chat about it, and then
Sure.
after you both give your opinions, I'm gonna jump in after you guys are done
Amen to
and tell
that.
you what I think.
Sure.
Right. Well, it's such an interesting story. And for anybody that's unfamiliar, the Mothman story begins in 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And there were sightings of what came to be called Mothman, a large, dark winged man with red eyes. And it turned into a legend where he is supposed to be a bad omen because they had a bridge collapse. And so the two, Mothman and the bridge collapse, got kind of tied together. So he is kind of considered to be a bad omen. But lately, I've heard reports of them seeing Mothman type creatures all over the country, including they had a sighting at O'Hare Airport. I'm
Yep.
from Chicago. I'm in Tulsa right now, but so all over the place. And it's funny because my ex had such a bad Mothman thing, and he didn't really even believe in a lot of other stuff. But if he was delivering, because he was a truck driver then, if he was delivering anywhere near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, he wouldn't sleep within 50 miles of that.
Yeah. Well, and this is a question that came up the other night or yesterday. I just jumped on a show under a different name because I didn't want to get favor from the host. And one of the people that came on this call-in show was, how do you handle the experience? And that's the problem. Some people do not have the constitution, and it's no disrespect to you, to handle this. It's a lot to grasp. Okay.
Well, I don't want to sidetrack because I want to go down
Yeah.
this way, but this man did not believe in anything. And we lived in this house that was haunted. This is a very short story. And he was kind of saying, like, I know that you believe that you heard something. I know you believe you saw something. So one day we were in the kitchen and there was a counter in between us, and his keys were on the counter and they went like that. And he's like, oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God, did you see that? And I'm like, yeah, I have some. But I mean, he really didn't believe in things, a lot of things. But the Mothman thing, forget it. He didn't even want to hear that they can see it around the country.
Well, yeah. So let's get into the Point Pleasant first, and then we'll get to what you were talking about as far as the Chicago flying winged cryptids. So when this appeared in the 60s, late 60s, it appeared at several locations. It seemed to dive bomb a car with people in it, and they could have sworn it had talons or claws. It was seen around the dynamite or the TNT factory that was there. And then it kind of hung out near the bridge by Point Pleasant, which happened to collapse, I believe, around Christmas, killing numerous people. So everybody thought, like, when you see this, it's a harbinger of evil or an omen, type of thing. I digress. I don't think so. Something very interesting is when you're creating TNT and you're working with explosives, especially for the government, you're working with high-end explosives. It's really powerful. And So I believe that the explosions that they would do, test explosions in certain areas, created fractures in not only our timeline, but multiple timelines around it. So what this creature does was attracted to came from, I believe it's an interdimensional being or from a different timeline. And that's where I think it comes from. Now I'm going to go a step further and I'm going to go to Chicago because there is a bridge. I'm going to connect it.
Okay.
So where the Chicago sightings are, the reason why they're there goes back to something called Fermlab. It's first collider that was created in the world. Fermlab. It was in Illinois. It was the largest particle collider. And in the early 1990s, they were tasked to find something to do with like quantum engines and fuels. And they ramped this thing up. And as quickly as they ramped it up in the, late 90s, early 2000s, they shut it down. Something happened and shut it down. At the same point in time, Fiona Broom was her name. She's a paranormal investigator who was responsible for the Mandela effect. Because at that point, she said, I thought Mandela was dead, but he was alive. This is what I see happening. You have Fermlab, and you have our timeline. I'm going to use something different. Sorry for using cigarettes, folks. Don't smoke. You have our timeline, the timeline next to us. Okay? The Fermlab and the particle accelerator creates an explosion that's so violent, it rocks both of these, and it fractures them. When they shut it down and things start to heal, instead of having this, you now have this. Two different timelines. So we have the original timeline we had right here, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the second part, that particle that goes back into our timeline of the timeline next to us. So in this timeline, not ours, there was a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Looms logo. In this one, there wasn't. But when they come back in,
Right.
now there isn't a cornucopia. Like, what happened?
Right.
We remember that there was a cornucopia there. What happened to it? So it's like anything else. If you've ever broken your parents' glass that they shouldn't have, and you thought you were slick to glue it back together, see how there's cracks that appear? That's what happened. So there are cracks in the timelines, and part of this is the interdimensional aspect that goes around each timeline. So there's cracks in that. And I believe these creatures see the cracks and like, what's that? And they slip through the cracks and they come out. Like the heavy-duty explosions at the TNT factory in West Virginia, just before, that thing came out and was like, where am I? What am I doing here? And then you have the same thing happening. Illinois is where Fermlab is. And what's there? Chicago. They're coming out and they're seeing all this energy and stuff from the airport at night. They're hanging out there or they're on the buildings there. It gets even better. If you look at a map of where black-eyed children are, or a lot of reported sightings of shadow people like the Hat Man, if you put it on a map where these sightings are, you will find universities very close by. And what do universities have? Their own particle colliders. And they're on a smaller scale. So this is how the doorway opens and these cryptids or creatures come in. Now here's the opposite, the bad side of it. I think all of us have seen Monster Inc., correct?
Yeah.
The cartoon. Okay. In the cartoon, the creatures come out, they scare the heck out of the kids, which fill the energy of whatever they're carrying, and that's their power or food source. Okay? There's something, and I don't want to get too much, but there is a product that comes out from fear and adrenaline from people. It's adrenochrome. You can actually get a script for it, but you can, fear is a commodity and is a food. Now, whenever you see these creatures like the Hat Man or the shadow people, they're always in the room and they're hovering over, and everybody reports, I felt paralyzed with fear. They're eating that fear. The minute you show I'm not afraid of you, they
Right.
go away
Right.
because you just interrupt their food source. You're not scared anymore. The reason why I think the Mothman would dive bomb the lovers in the car trying to get away when they saw it at the factory. This is one of the stories. The
Right.
fear, the adrenaline, it's like smelling steak or bacon. Like I'm hungry, I want to eat, and it's hovering near that fear. When the bridge collapsed and unfortunately too many souls passed away, there was a massive amount of fear. So
Right.
it's kind of like a buffet for it.
Right.
And in Chicago, what do they have in Chicago? Well, they have a lot of crimes and murder.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the people from Chicago, but you have the gang issues and whatever. There's always going to be fear and issues. People afraid because it's by the airport. I don't like to fly.
Right.
I get nervous on it. That's a food source, and they could just sit there and just suck it up left and right.
Right.
So I believe this creature is more interdimensional than something that is was innately here. I think it came from the different fractures through different means.
That was absolutely fascinating. And now he's just our only guest now every Friday, right? We don't need him.
Sure.
We're talking about Mothman. We're talking about, actually, we're kind of talking about SETI, aren't we? A little bit.
Well, search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I was part of SETI when it first started, but it takes up too much computer processing power. What's very interesting is there's a big buzz going on now, which I've known about for a while, called quantum tunneling. And quantum tunneling deals with subparticles and atomic particles being able to penetrate certain materials of different density and frequency. Excuse me. But in theory, they're talking about using quantum tunneling for making extraterrestrial intelligent encounters and contact through your consciousness. So there's components within the way the human body was designed. We have an ability to work telepathically. And your consciousness, which is, what's fast? Someone once said to me, there's nothing, as I was presenting, they were trying to be a smart guy. They said, seeing is nothing is faster than the speed of light. How can you explain whatever? I said, no, you're wrong. There is something faster than the speed of light. They said, yeah, what? I said, thought. Thought is faster than the speed of light. Okay? We're going to get a little crazy now. So when you speak, you ever hear the phrase from Harry Houdini, abracadabra, when he was doing his act? Okay, that's Aramaic. It means what I say, I create.
Oh.
Because in theory and in practice and in the real world, what you say and send out into the universe this way with your vocal cords, you create. If you say and think negatively, believe it or not, negative things will happen. If you start thinking positive, which at times can be utterly impossible, depending on what you're going through, but keep going, good things will happen to you. So there are a ton of reports from people who have seen craft. I've actually done this personally in front of probably about 130 people when I did an active intelligent encounter, otherwise known as a CE5 in Pine Bush, New York. I was exhausted. I wanted to go home, but there was this lovely girl and her mom that came. Oh, we can't wait to do the CE5. I'm like, okay, I got to do it. Use the guilt. And when we got there, my buddy Al, he was suffering because he was doing chemotherapy. He finished with it, but he's kind of recovering from it. He goes, it's all you. So I was like, no problem. So I had to help with a guided meditation of 130 people, men, women, and children. People brought their families there. And later on, I found out the chief of police witnessed this. We're in an open field, and I brought everybody down from the excitement of the day. I said, what I want you to do is breathe a couple of times, in and out, get comfortable, and I want you in your head to say, we want an experience, we want an interaction and some kind of experience with extraterrestrials, aliens. We don't want to get hurt or harmed, and we're not going to hurt or harm you. And we kept doing that for a couple of minutes. And at one point, while everything was quiet, I heard this hooting like an owl. And I'm like, I thought it was some kids at the park next to us in a small town drinking beers and just having a good old time. But it wasn't. I saw a gentleman. I was turning to my friend to go, do you hear that hooting and hollering? And this guy goes, does anybody hear the owl? And I said, yeah, I was just about to say it. And then boom, right above our head appeared a craft that was probably, I would literally say at least 4 to 5 acres wide.
Wow.
Wow.
And it was gunmetal black. In the center was this dome that was LED white. And if you notice anything about LEDs, I have them on right now around the camera, and you can stare at a bright LED without blinding yourself. It just illuminates. But around the LED, you saw this hexagonal pattern, like it was using a giant nut or, washer to screw it in.
Yeah.
And everybody went crazy. It was like, oh my God, ooh, ah. And I said out loud, I said, thank you for making your appearance. Can you go out to those mountains? And I pointed and do maneuvers. And I went, can you go out there and just do some maneuvers and then come back for us? And in an instant, it went out, burst, and then started doing maneuvers, right angles at extremely high speeds. It stopped and then it came back. And everybody went nuts. We would signal it. It would signal back. And then it disappeared. I said, please, can you just make yourself presence known once again? And it did. And it lasted for a couple of minutes, and it was gone. So there are other reports of people seeing UFOs and saying, I wish you would come closer in their head. I wish they would come closer. But they're saying it in their mind's eye. And then all of a sudden the craft comes closer. There is a universal connector. The thread throughout the universe is sound, frequency, vibration, resonance. That's part of your consciousness. We are connected by this, but we don't understand it because as humans, we only use like maybe 2% of our brain. So that's why when you talk about search for extraterrestrial intelligence, you don't need computers to send you back a signal. You need to just, like what we do with God, who is the supreme, we talk to God, talk to the sky, and ask them to make their presence known. But I'm going to warn you, be careful and do it with more than one person, because you do not know what or whom you are asking to make their presence known. It may not be a good experience.
Right. I actually saw a movie documentary about a guy doing that with people. And they would go out with their lawn chairs and they would meditate and something would come for them. And then I've also noticed that over, I don't know, maybe the last decade, people have started thinking that aliens were demons. And then now a lot of people are saying that aliens and also Bigfoot, and like you're saying, maybe Mothman and other things are interdimensional beings.
Yes, see, and this is no disrespect to your religious beliefs, but there are people that are on the ultra right of religion that are born again and Jesus, and God bless you. But what happens is, if it's not what's in the good book, then it's a demon. But that's not necessarily the case. If some angel comes down, and there have been many people who have seen angels appear, and they've said that they were angels, are you to believe it or not? Now, I whenever I challenge a psychic or somebody, I've asked the same questions to psychics. I'm going to tell you 100% every one of them. I say to them, because I want to know. I said, what are the lottery numbers, and who are my guardian angels, and why do they drink? Because I've been asking them for, like, can you make your presence known, and they haven't yet that I'm aware of. But there was one time where I was very angry, upset. I was really pissed off. I left my apartment, came outside, and I was stewing. And it was like dusky. This woman just appeared someplace. Like, when I was looking down, she was walking near me, smiled at me and said, "Hi, have a nice night," with a big smile. And it stopped me from being angry, and because I don't want to be angry in front of other it's not their business. I said, "Thank you very much. You have a good night too." And she walked, and for a split second, I'm like, "Weird." This woman just appeared out of nowhere, and I turned right around to see where she was gone. So I'm thoroughly convinced that was either my guardian angel or someone of an angelic presence to kind of say, "Bring it down, Bryan. It'll be okay." So extraterrestrials do communicate through the consciousness. You can, when I do what I do, I'm a remote viewer, and I do have abilities. I do readings for people.
He's a remote viewer too.
Yes, 99.99%. I do, pro bono. I didn't want to discuss it with people. I didn't want to come off as a fraud, like a Miss Cleo. But I've helped well over 24 people I do not know, and I stopped them from killing themselves, and I'm more than happy about that. I've had conversations with people that wanted, because their loved one has passed and they're heartbroken and they want to be with them. So I've told them, God has a path for all of us, and a time. We all have an expiration date, and if you don't follow that, you're not going to get to your loved ones quicker. What's going to happen is he's going to make you come back and have a longer time or harder time doing it. So stay on the path, and you'll eventually see them. But there's one woman out of Canada. I'm talking to her on Messenger. I've never met her before. We were chatting through text. I said, "Can I just call you on that? I can't do this, texting thing like that." We're having a conversation, and I saw her dead daughter standing next to her dead father, and I could see them. I can hear them, and I'm a science guy, so I'm like, okay, am I going crazy? And I'm not. I've learned a long time ago, I'm not crazy. If you're getting it, you're getting it. This is one of the gifts you can do. It's all part of what God created with you when he created man as man and woman. I'm not going to get into that stupid, silly argument. So I'm having this conversation. I said, your daughter has like brownish hair with blonde highlights. Said, yeah, she's a little bit heavy. Yeah. And I said, blue eyes. Yeah. I said, by the way, does your husband like plaid? She goes, oh, that's his favorite color. I said, what about a red and black plaid and a red and black hat to go with it? She goes, yeah, he wore that all the time. I said, is he chubby with a little goatee and gray? She goes, yeah, that's him. I'm looking at him. I'm seeing him, but it's not like I'm seeing him through my eyes. It's in here. It's in your mind's eye. It's kind of hard to explain, but the way I explain it is, do you know, if I said the number 47, can you see it in your head?
Yes.
Okay. If I say, can you see the alphabet in your head? You can see it. It's as if you've known it your whole life or experienced it. And what I do, I can see, smell, touch, taste, and sometimes manipulate, sometimes heal. And I could also ask questions to get more information. I've learned these things that I can do. It's just a muscle that I've used over and over again.
You know what? I want to apologize because
No
When I
problem.
said he's a remote viewer too, I wasn't meaning it like a disbelief because I got somebody saying you're not a fraud. I was meaning it like that's another thing I love to talk about.
Oh yeah, no, no. I trust me. I'm always. I think I'm one of the few people you'll ever meet, and if you look at any interviews I've done, even my show, some people have said, "Oh, we have an expert on." I'm like, "Whoa, back up. I'm not an expert. I just have a lot more experience than most people. That I have more experience. There is no expert unless you can get into the black budget projects that have like a dogman locked up and a Bigfoot locked up, and they've been experimenting on these things. That's an expert because they've been able to do scientific tests on these creatures and what have you. So there are some experts, but they're not going to come forward. I just have a lot more experience, and I always tell everybody, I'm not here to convince you.
Right.
Go do some research. Don't just take our word for it. Go do research. You'll find the answers too.
I just love the wealth of different topics, and these are all things that I find very interesting. And there's things that are more common than others, to
Yes.
guess for. You don't get too many about remote viewing. I've tried to get people who talk about shadow people and Hitman. Oh, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I have somebody who has had this experience, and I've known some other people with similar about doppelgangers. Do you have a theory about doppelgangers?
No, I don't. I don't understand the doppelganger. I really don't. The only thing I can suggest with the doppelganger is that in every timeline that we have, and there are multiple timelines or multiple dimensions. Like we're in one timeline, there's another one, another one. I mean, like there's tons of them. The same thing is taking place right now, but I'm not this Bryan. I'm maybe evil Bryan, or I'm like really thin Bryan. This is how it varies, and I think sometimes somehow depending on like if the energy is right or something. Again, these things jump. They're able to straddle dimensions and timelines. There are beings that, case in point, a couple of like 2 years ago in Miami, there was a mall. The Bayside Mall had a UFO, an alien experience, and people reported seeing aliens, 10-foot aliens, and some of them were glitching, and some of them seemed to go into the area and then disappear. When you are an interdimensional being or traveling interdimensionally, you have the ability to straddle both dimensions. So that way you'll appear like you're there and you're kind of there, but you're not. And I had people lined up to talk to, but they were like, the government said that I'll get screwed if I talk to you. So that they won't talk, but I thoroughly believe that event took place. It's real. And you don't close down an airport and lose power to like 27 blocks, as a joke for kids lighting fireworks. None of it made sense, so but there's also video of them there. So, this interdimensional stuff, I think it could happen that way with doppelgangers. But then again, what Shawn does on the exorcist side of things and the evil side of things, he knows that when you get to that zone out of this body from earth and you go into the ether between heaven and hell and whatever, these little areas, my buddy Ron and I used to call the Goblin Universe. That's like, where people died quickly, suddenly, and they wake up and it's the black room with this light that's kind of moving around. They should be going to the light, but they're scared what it is. And then they get stuck in stasis. They're not in heaven, they're not in hell because they don't know where they are. They have to get crossed over. These creatures that are really evil, even the ones that are just, if you weren't nice in life, you're not nice in death. A lot of these things. And what happens is, everything takes place there. Past, present, and future is taking place at the same point in time. And they know everything about you. So when they come in, they can make themselves look like you. They can make themselves look like your wife or your daughter or your husband or whatever, and they want something from you, and they'll go and take it. That's what I think the doppelganger effect is. I've been told at one point, weren't you just up in Canada at so and so's place? And I'm like, no. He goes, dude, you got a doppelganger. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't in Canada, but no problem. You
Well,
know,
they say that Padre Pio could multi-locate during his life, that people would say that they saw him over here in the church and saw him in a neighboring village at the same time. And
yeah,
that's
you know,
somebody
sometimes,
that maybe on purpose. I don't know.
well, sometimes that your gift or your ability or purpose on this planet to do good is so, God wants you to do good, but sometimes you have to be, he needs you in 3 locations at once. It's like, you got to press it in sequence, and he wants you. So what he does is he'll take your essence and split it to 3 different places at once, and make you go to those places to take care of whatever the issue is. That's been taught of before, many, many times, when people have seen apparitions of like their father and like, oh my God, what are you doing here? You're in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And then someone, and then the person calling like dad, calling their dad in New Zealand, like, hey, what's up? Because I just saw you in my house. Because, well, I'm in New Zealand. Sometimes the connection, that love, that energy is so strong, or the desire is there, that nothing will separate between the love that you want, and have. It's a lot more complex. I guess I should look into it more. I should be writing books left and right, but
You
If you
got
do,
it.
I will help
Yeah.
you. I'd be happy to help you write some books and get them out there.
I appreciate that. We'll definitely have to talk after hours.
I would
But
love to. Do you ever read Greg Braden?
I know the name, but I haven't read it.
He wrote
Um,
The Divine Matrix. He, without getting really paranormal, he's very, very interesting in this stuff that he talks about and studies. So I was just
yeah, I've talked to a couple of people about um, people using certain 3-lettered second pharmaceuticals, DMT for the lack of the better word, which your body creates normally, and then looking at a laser and seeing coded sequence going through it, and like a whole different world, or or using the same type of psychedelic to have a vision quest, just like the ancient indigenous people. I'm not endorsing using these things, just mind you, but a lot of times everything that's around us, lights, cameras, kids, pets, whatever, it distracts you from focusing and getting some messages. That's why meditation is really important for a lot of your your guests and the people that watch. I know it's difficult to meditate. Try 5 minutes. Literally sit there for 5 minutes. Close your eyes. I always say, look at a point of light, picture a point of light, and focus on it for 5 minutes, and then come out of it, and then go to 10, then go to 15, and watch how your life changes. Because when you stop to smell the roses, as they say, you start vibrating at a higher frequency. Now, humans are vibrating about right here. Jesus and all the other messengers God sent are up here. When you're up here, the little things that bother you don't bother you anymore. It's not important. There are other things in life that are important. I vibrate higher. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but sometimes people question some of the things I do. Like I've been getting numerical messages. Some say from the spirit world, your guardian angels. Like I just got 444, and I got 1212, 111, 222, 333, and 444 already today. These all have the numbers have a coincidence and a message to it, And now someone said, instead of saying, "Oh, cool, 555, change is coming," try to remember what you were thinking of when you saw the 555, and focus on that, lament on it a little bit more, and see what the other message is there that they're telling you. And I know it's so hard to stop with when we have everybody going like this, scrolling. you know, next video, next video, next video.
Right.
But I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I have other sources for news. I do a remote view every year, August 4th, roughly, for 0 to 18 months. What's currently happening in the Middle East, I predicted a year ago, February. I wrote it out. It's on my Facebook page about the bombs, the rockets, and there will be a mountain in Iran that will be destroyed, and they will be destroyed as a country. And people always, if I'm warning you about something, I'm telling you, please take what I'm saying for what own it, understand it. I used to get upset about people like mocking or whatever. One of my friends goes, Bryan, you did your job. You warned them about it.
Right.
I said, I know that, but I don't want people to get hurt. It's like, well, that's not your job anymore. So it's no disrespect to people that are listening, but if I tell you, which I've been saying this for over a year, don't fly if you don't have to, and you fly or you don't want to listen, not my problem.
Right.
Brother,
So,
it's that
yeah.
time I can't
I
believe
know.
how it snuck up on us.
Yes.
I got to kick you out of here because we're going to lose our airtime.
Thank you.
You
You
know I
can.
love you and respect you.
Blessings to you both.
I'm going to throw
Thank
another
you so
date
much.
later
Thank you.
today. I'm going to throw a date at you to get you back. I got to get you
Sure.
back. I got
And
this
then I'm
whole-
gonna have you come on my show too.
You got it, brother.
So yeah. But it's a
Have
pleasure
a
to meet you,
wonderful
Annette.
remainder
Thank
of
you
your
so much.
Friday.
Likewise.
Yep.
A great weekend, brother. I pray for you all the time, and I'll throw some dates at you and get you back soon. Okay.
Right. And I just want to say prayers, healing, recovery, blessings to everyone. God bless, and we'll
God
see you
bless you,
soon.
brother.
Thank you so much.
Bryan Bowden, Bowden.
He's just
Look at that.
wonderful. I
Yeah.
felt bad that somebody thought that I was having an attitude. I actually was completely fascinated. And I don't think that anybody's really an expert, but I think you for sure can be a specialist, that you've been dealing with things or researching things and around people in the community for so long that you certainly have a point of view to share. So, yes. And you
All
let me
righty.
do most of the talking. So, thank you. That was so
You're welcome.
sweet.
I'll see you next Friday, the 27th, June 27th. That is Susan
Happy
Ahern for
medium.
Happy Medium Monthly.
Okay.
And then I love you. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next Friday and reach out to me if you need me throughout the week for anything.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great weekend.
Take care. Annette Munich, Stellium Books, and Bryan Bowden. I promise you guys I'll get Bryan back as soon as I can. It'll probably be about 3 months. But yeah, I got to get him back. I love the guy. I think he's just a super cool dude. Got a lot to talk about. Not many people can get me to shut up for an hour. He's one of them because I do find him fascinating, and I know, and I could tell Annette had a good time listening to him too. Listen, stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn coming up next, and it's Friday night of High Strangeness here on UPRN. So don't go nowhere. If you want to be a sponsor and have your brand given a shout out live on air during my show, reach out to me. We can make that happen. I'll see everybody next Friday for Happy Medium Monthly. Remember, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. I love you all. I don't have a show without you guys, so thank you for tuning in. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.